Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. My name is Juliette Clark. I'm your host today. And before we get started, I want to remind you to go over to YouTube and like us over there. Follow us at Superbrand Publishing. And if you haven't already, follow us, subscribe here on Promote, Profit, Publish, and leave us a review. We always love it when we get positive reviews from you guys. So today's guest is Scott Aaron, and he has two first names. I almost said Aaron Scott, so it's a good thing I didn't mess it up there. He is an internationally acclaimed and award-winning network marketer, author, podcaster, and speaker. And he's the go-to specialist when it comes to converting traffic, establishing connections, creating residual income using LinkedIn leads generation, and building personal brands. He is people-focused and results-driven, which you guys all know me. You can tell we got along really well when we talked because we've got the same mission here. And he's great at teaching others how to create wealth from online and organic traffic, which is a game changer because the digital world is so saturated right now, and all of the consumers, I'm ad-libbing his thing now, they're just exhausted by us. So welcome, Scott.
Well, Juliette, thank you so much for having me here today. And again, we connected through LinkedIn of all places, and I'm just really grateful to be here and to share what I know with your audience today.
Well, thank you. Who's that walking in the background there? We have visitors.
Yeah, it's my fiance and the dogs are running around a little bit.
Okay, cool. So see, that's authentic when you're just not holed up with your makeup on, kind of doing the, I'm perfect thing.
Yeah, I mean, perfection doesn't exist. It's what people are seeking, but it's not there.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the saturation in the digital world and the exhaustion that everybody's feeling online.
It's bad. It's bad. And it's something that I've been taking notice of, little by little over the last 7 years, but I would say it's been compounding more and more over the last 2.5 to 3 years. And I don't see it getting any less saturated. I see it getting more saturated. And we're living in this digital world right now where people are so addicted to selling and creating a course and selling it to people. And let me make this funnel. Let me start this opt-in. Let me do this email sequence. Let me find some hack or way to create more sales. And I've been in the human connection business my entire life, going back to when I was a personal trainer, gym owner, and sports nutritionist in the late 90s. For 18 years, that's what I did. I just spent time with people, and people can think what they want, and you can listen to the experts, and they will tell you that there is a huge shift going on right now. And some of the old methodologies, which are talking to other human beings, either over a phone or in person, is coming back around.
Mm-hmm.
People are they're sick and tired of being sold to and pitched, because that's all people are doing. And the person that's willing to take, this is what Les Brown says, he says, the person that takes the easiest road will end up living and creating the hardest life possible.
Mm-hmm.
But those that take the hardest road will create and live the easiest, most fruitful and abundant life possible. So I've always been willing to take the hardest way possible, even when I teach my clients, even when I teach them. It is from the ground up. There's no automation. It is all by hand, creating relationships that are focused around trust and rapport, and just creating that synergistic relationship between two people that don't know each other, but at the end of the call, at the end of the Zoom, they have found connecting points. And when you ask questions, you're going to get answers. And the more questions that you ask, the more relatability you're going to have between that person who you didn't know 10 minutes before. They quickly become a friend, an acquaintance, someone that you can create or collaborate with.
Mm-hmm. This is so interesting too. I was in a Facebook group about 6 months ago, and one of the women in it said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of seeing Facebook ads. it's the same people, the same instant gratification message. How do I mute them? And what I find really interesting is you were just talking about this shift. And yet, at the middle of last month, Facebook made some changes to its algorithm that are leading back to ads, which people are already saying they're hating. So, how did Facebook miss this?
Well, Facebook didn't miss it. So if anyone goes to adespresso.com, AD and then espresso, just like you drink. So Adespresso is the blog site attached to Hootsuite that reports on all the algorithm changes on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And it's a monthly newsletter, and they tell you everything. And what Facebook has done is exactly what they've wanted to do, which is to devalue the content that people are organically posting that are using it for business purposes on a personal page and pushing that stuff way, way, way down the news feed, and they're pushing up all the personal stuff, all the pregnancy announcements, all the birth announcements, the engagements, the weddings. Unfortunately, tragedies are shown a lot on Facebook because it's a personal platform. So what people don't realize, Facebook earns, profits between $2 and $3 billion a year from the Facebook business pages. And that is people that are boosting ads and running ad campaigns. It's a whole separate business. So organically, Facebook noticed that people didn't want to be sold to. So what they said, you know what? Then we're going to change this whole thing around, and we're going to have this one platform break off into two different sectors. The sector of the people that are using it for personal purposes, the barbecue of social media, which it is. And then we're going to have the sector of sponsored ads, the people that are on there for business purposes, trying to use it for personal reasons. So they start to see those that are selling products. So basically they can start buying their stuff. But what I'll tell you is this: no one wakes up in the morning and says, you know what? I think I'm going to log on to Facebook and Instagram today because I'm going to buy something.
Right.
That's not why people wake up to go on social media. If they want to buy something, unfortunately or fortunately, they're going to go to Amazon or they're going to go to eBay or wherever they're buying it. Why people are seeing so many ads is because the person that's seeing the ad is their activity is tracked by who's running the ad. So for me, an example, I have some ads out there that are not selling anything. I have an ad running right now that takes people to a free download that I offer everybody. And it's basically helping people with their profiles on LinkedIn. And the people that end up seeing that are the people that are most likely to engage with that kind of content: network marketers, business coaches. So the only reason why that person listening to this is saying, oh my God, I keep seeing all these ads for this business coach and that business coach and this funnel hack, it's because your activity has been tracked through a pixel that is on your profile on Instagram and Facebook. And what it's going to do is it tells that person that has the business page, here's who you should market back to because they're most likely going to buy, in air quotes, or opt in. So it's all an algorithm. It's all off of activity of what you are doing outside and inside of the platform.
I get that, but I think what the reason I'm saying this is, and we found workarounds to not doing the ads because the ads have had such poor targeting in the past. When we've actually tested, like a year ago, me and one of my partners, the people who were clicking were not our ideal audience, even though we'd put it in. So we kind of stopped it all. But here's what they're saying inside of that group: I'm tired of seeing the ads. I may have done something in the past that indicated I wanted that ad, but I don't want to see them anymore. I'm not interested. I'm tired of them. It's saturated. So I just think it's kind of interesting in the shift that they're going back to ads when people are truly saying, yeah, we're so over the coaching industry and I don't want to see them anymore.
Yeah, here's the easiest piece of advice of how to stop that. Get off the platform.
Yeah.
Just get off.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't.
that's why I pivoted onto LinkedIn because I didn't want to see that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And Instagram's even worse. I mean, you want to talk about lowest on the totem pole for social media as far as where the social ego is the highest
Mhm.
and the content is the fakest. Hands down, Instagram is the worst.
Oh, really? I'm
Uh,
not even on Instagram and Twitter, I think are both. Instagram not so bad, Twitter's just toxic. I
Yeah,
got off there a
Twitter's
while
well.
ago.
Don't forget, Twitter's like it's like the running news. It's like online news. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is, and it's like the TMZ of social media, so to speak.
Yeah, it sort of is. It didn't used to be like that though. When authors first started using it, like back in 2008, 2009, it was a really great platform. I think it
Oh
kind
yeah,
of morphed into that. Now it's like toxic fighting, and it's not really news. You can't
no,
do news in 140 characters.
no, no,
So,
not at all. No,
so LinkedIn, I agree. I've switched over there as well. I do most of my prospecting over there. That's how I found you. I have
yeah.
certain things I look for. But even then, I want to talk about it a little bit because it's not salesy. Nothing bothers me more than getting that thing saying, here, let's connect, and then you get hit with a sales pitch.
I'll share the one a funny story. So it's probably about 4 months ago, and I teach human connection, and I teach LinkedIn to entrepreneurs and business coaches, like really how to build your audience in a genuine way and how to get qualified leads and people to collaborate with. So this guy sends me a connection request, and in the connection request you can add a note or not add a note. And a little productivity hack for you and your listeners: you don't have it says LinkedIn says add a note to have a greater opportunity of someone accepting your connection. That's false. So
Good to know.
there was a third party that came in that did a study comparing sending about 500 connections with a note and 500 connections without a note, and the acceptance rate was almost the same. So don't create any work for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about that. Now, this guy sent me a note and he's like, "Hey, Scott, not trying to sell you anything, just wanted to connect." So, okay, I was going to test the waters a little bit here. So I accepted the connection. A day later, guess what happened?
He sold you.
I got a 6 paragraph verbal vomit sales pitch trying to get me to opt in and click on this link and watch this video and schedule a call here. And I just removed him as a connection because, again, human beings don't like being sold to.
Right.
They don't. When you became friends with someone in the sandbox, did you try to pitch them to be your friend, or did you sit down next to them and you started making a sandcastle together and started sharing stories and you found commonalities, and before you know it, you're friends? And you need to treat social media, you need to treat LinkedIn like dating,
Oh, I agree.
not,
Yes.
not a one night stand.
Right.
And most people are treating it like a one night stand. How
That's
meaningful is that relationship going to be? And again, I'm paraphrasing, and some people have had things work out in relationships where it was a one night stand and turned into something more. But again, if you want to play by the numbers, you are more likely to have a greater connection and relationship with someone that you've taken the time to get to know, to find areas of interest that you share, commonalities, a foundation and an infrastructure for a real, true, meaningful relationship. Because if you think about dating, what's that first date like? You get on the phone or you're in person with that person, and what do? You start asking questions. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite color? And you start learning about each other. Oh my God, that's one of my favorite movies was someone that was in this one. So you start finding out all of this groundwork that makes for a true, meaningful relationship. Because if you've had that initial call, that initial first date, if it was impactful, guess what? That person's going to say, you know what, Juliet, I really enjoyed myself. I would love to see you again. Can we go out again? And that person was, yeah, of course, this was great. Let's go out a second time. So you go out a second time. Then there's already familiarity there because
mhm.
you remember the person. You start talking about things that you talked about last time, and the relationship builds and builds and builds. And if more people actually took the time to get to know people, and really care about them and really put their best foot forward and say, you know what, I'm not going to try to sell this person anything. I'm not going to try to pitch them, because you can sell someone without selling them. When you
Yeah.
add value to their life, when you leave them better without expecting anything back in return, the more that you give, the more you're going to get. So if people just really started treating, I don't care what platform you use. You can continue to use Facebook, you can use Instagram, you can use Twitter, you can use Facebook or LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. Treat it like dating. Really get to know your audience, really get to know those people, educate, inform, take a genuine interest in those people, because they're going to bring that right back to you. And if they don't, wasn't meant to be. There's plenty of fish out there. You just go and you meet someone else, and then you meet someone else, and then you meet someone else. And
Mm-hmm.
before you know it, you've built this tribe, and you've created this tribe of, it could be raging fans or consumers and customers, or just a great network of people that you can network with.
That is so true. And I use a dating analogy too, but this is what most people do. Scott and I go out on our first date. 30 minutes in, he tells me he loves me. Let's get married. I can tell you, I've got my phone out. The Uber is like ordered. I'm in the bathroom and I've got the MacGyver kit out of my purse, looking how to disengage the emergency lock on the back door to run.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing to people when you do the selling right out the gate. So thank you, Scott, for not engaging me that way.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I wait at least till the third date before they
Okay,
marry me.
wait a minute,
So
wait a minute. Isn't there something about the third? No, never mind.
yeah. Anyway,
No, that's such great advice. And so many people do not treat it that way. I had someone this morning who's trying to sell me a texting service. I'm like, no, thank you. I have one. And she comes back, but does it have this, this, and this? Go away.
no
Like,
means no.
yeah, no means, there you go. No means no. Another dating analogy.
No means no.
So how do we navigate this this world of, getting out of this pitch slapping? I mean, you described the relationship building. One thing that always surprises me, I met you because I was looking for pod swaps. I meet a ton of people every day doing that, and I'm always surprised by the breadth of the podcasts out there, and just chatting with people about why chocolate. Like, how do you get out there and just talk to a big number of people out there?
Well, I think it's number one, for the person that wants to kind of spread themselves out and you want to have greater impact. You have to define what you're actually looking for and what you want. And what I teach my clients, and what I speak about all the time on social media, is thinking about the end in mind. So what would you like the end result to be? And again, you hear the analogies, focus on what's in front of you, not what's in back of you, but you need to focus on what you would like to achieve. So is your goal to get on 5 pod swaps a week? Is your goal to grow your network by X amount of number of people, or whatever it is? When there is specific intention behind everything that you're doing, you're going to take the action to support that intention. So the only reason why people aren't achieving the things that they want to achieve, whether it's pod swapping like you and I are doing, or growing their business and their brand, is because they're not taking the action. The cure-all for being stuck, the cure-all for not having the income that you want, or not being where you want to be in your life, whatever it is taking action. You can't sit in a chair and wait for the skies to open up and have things drop into your lap. You actually have to work for them a little bit. And whether that's reaching out to people, and Juliet, here's the misconception. People think that reaching out to people cold on LinkedIn is spammy. And so there's 2 trains of thoughts. Number one, I would agree if it's done in the way that I just described, where you're sending someone 6 paragraphs where you're pitching, or the way that we connected, which basically I sent Juliet a message and saying, hey, love what you're doing on the platform. I see you also have a podcast. Would love to get on a call to learn more about each other and see if we can support each other. That was it. And again, she could have said no, or she could have said yes. And she said yes. And we got on a call last week and we really vibed, and we have a lot of commonalities in our beliefs and what we're doing. And you keep forming those connections, and you see where it goes, and you keep moving forward. One of the best books that I ever read was a book called Go for No. And it's by Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton, husband and wife. Andrea has become a really good friend of mine. It's the #1 selling sales book of all time. It's a phenomenal book, 76 pages. You can read it in a day. And when I read this book, and read on the cover, it says, yes is the destination, but no is how you get there. And just reading that, I was like, that's it. Everyone is going for the yeses, but you have to go for the no's, because the no's open the doors to the yeses.
Mm-hmm.
But they also talk about the failure quotient. And this is another big thing. People don't want to fail. If they fail, they feel disappointed. If they feel disappointed, they want to quit, they want to give up. But the fact is, the successful people that we're all looking at, wherever it is, those people have also failed more than they've succeeded, because your failures will open the doors to your successes.
Right.
So when you show up on whatever platform you want to, it shouldn't be with the intention of trying to get someone or to sell someone or to pitch someone. You literally just have to sit down, and I've done this multiple times and I do it every year. What do you want out of your business? What do you want it to become? What do you want it to create? But more importantly, how do you want it to serve other people? Because we create these businesses to solve problems for the things that people are going through. So for me, I know what I provide, the service that I do, the service that I teach. It's helping people that have a growing problem. So I've created a solution for that problem. So for anyone that's listening to this, sit down within yourself and write down the problem that you're solving. When you know the problem that you're solving for others, it's going to make the way that you connect, it's going to make the way that you show up, and it's going to make the way that you interact with others the most genuine and authentic way you can possibly do it, because you're showing up as you, with not the intention to sell, with the intention to impact other people, because you have to have great impact before you can create great influence.
That's great. I want to address that spamming for a minute, because I think that's an objection that we use to not have to do it. When my coach had me do what I'm doing over on LinkedIn, that was my thing. Like, I know how I react when people send these messages out to me. 75 messages that first day, one guy came back and he was a jerk. One guy. And guess what I did with that one guy? I made it all about him, and see, I told you so. I went back to my coach, and my coach was like, one guy out of 75. The other 74 were somewhat successful. And that's all it took to just say, there are going to be some people out there who jerks. You don't know what kind of day they're having, but look at all those people that you've done since. So I don't want you guys to use, I love what Scott just said there. Don't use that as a reason not to do it. If you get some jerks, maybe you need to reformat that message a little bit, but don't stop. Which brings me to the next part, is when you said intentional, how long every day do people have to intentionally put aside to work this, get those leads, and not make other things, let other things get in the way? Because we all hate to prospect.
Yeah. Well, if you hate to prospect, then you hate to build a business. I love prospect.
There you go.
I'm sorry. If you hate to prospect, I'm sorry, you're not cut out for entrepreneurship, because
Right.
Again, people are not going to come to you.
Right.
I don't care how successful you are, how amazing your product is. People aren't waking up and they're like, you know what? I think I'm going to reach out to Juliet today and I'm going to give her $12,000 to work with her. That it's just, I'm sorry. In a perfect world, that would be amazing. But listen, you have to do the legwork. So for me, prospecting to me is not prospecting. Prospecting to me is connecting, is talking to someone and seeing if there is a void in their business, or if there's a pain point in their business. And this is what I do. And if someone is interested in learning to work with me, I'll say to the person, Juliet, what is something that you are really seeking to improve immediately right now? What is your biggest want right now? What do you want to improve?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll tell me what their biggest need or want is. I need more sales, I need more clients. I'm like, okay, so now that I've asked the question, now I can bridge the gap between my answer and their question, which is, well, the good thing is what I teach people is how to fill those voids of not having phone calls, which prevents you from not having clients and not having sales. So basically, the more that you ask, the more that you're going to get. So there's a simple analogy. You have to ASK to GET. You have to ask in order to get. So when you're speaking to people, you don't have to prospect them. You just have to ask questions, because the more questions you ask, the more information you're going to get back from that person. So then you can see, is this person a good fit for what I can provide them? Or is this just going to be a great conversation where we can do a collaborative effort on something or create something together, or maybe provide referrals for each other? So you need to block off as much or as little time as you want. For me, I seek to, and this is just my number and what I read about in blogs all the time. If you're not having at least 20 discovery calls per week in today's market, you don't have a shot. So
I agree.
I seek between 4 and 5 discovery calls a day. That's my
Mhm.
number. But again, with LinkedIn, like you said, that I teach something similar where you reach out to people, and I keep it at a smaller number, between 10 to 15 people, because every 10 to 15 messages that I send, I will get 4 to 5 responses back from the people that I'm connecting with. Because when you are super intentional with the type of person that you're allowing into your network, it's almost a guarantee they're going to accept a message from you, because they're going to see a similarity between you and them. So why wouldn't they want to talk with you, unless they're not very active on LinkedIn? They don't like having discovery calls because it's quote unquote a waste of their time. Now, I just had a discovery call before this, and it led to a pod swap, which is great because it's free advertising for people, and people don't realize the power of that. But more so, he said to me, he asked me a question. He said, why do you think people are not liking or not likely to get on a call? And I said, well, they don't understand the value of time. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, for me, if I reach out to someone and they write back, sure, I'd love to talk, the respect level I have for that person goes through the roof. Because the most valuable commodity any human being has is their own personal time. Because we all get 24 hours in a day, and we all get to choose how we spend it. And if someone that I seek to connect with is giving up 20 to 30 minutes of their day just to talk to me, they're going to get the best of me, whether they're going to be exchanging anything, whether it's money, time, or energy. If someone is willing to get on the phone with me, they have my utmost respect, whether there is a synergistic connection or not when I get on the phone with them, because that is the most valuable commodity we have. Money is just a thing that was created.
Mm-hmm.
And we all put all this value around it. But another analogy I live by is that everyone cares so much about money. But does money care about you? Is money sitting there thinking like, man,
I need Juliet.
well, what's wrong with Juliet and Scott? What's their problem? It doesn't work that way. So the more, again, I said it before, the more that you give, the more that you get. So if someone is going to be open and willing, that is such a victory, you guys. If you reach out to someone and they reach back and said, yes, I would love to talk. Let's hop on a Zoom. Let's hop on a call. That is such a victory. You have no idea, because you're opening up a door of opportunity that was closed for however long it had been since you reached out to the person. Because every door of opportunity you open that you walk through, you don't know what's going to lie on the other side. But with opportunity, there's great things. So the more opportunity that you're going to step into, the more amazing things can come into your life and your business.
So I want to press a little. That was fantastic. Last week, I was invited to come on a group coaching program, and I loved it that the guy who ran the group was willing to take the quiz, take our quiz, and in front of his students, he had me evaluate him. And exactly what you were just talking about came up. I said, how many discovery calls are you having a week? And he said, yeah, sometimes none, sometimes 2 or 3. He had a small coaching program. And I actually took, between what I was doing on LinkedIn and the quiz I'd given talks 2 days before, and laid out my calendar and showed the people on the call my calendar. I was like, this is what, this is what it has to look like. And I had my electronic calendar out. And I typically do between probably 15 and 20 a week. And they're not all sales calls. So I just want to make that clear what Scott just said. Some of them are pod swaps. Some of them are, hey, you know what? I want to know more about your product. Some of them are referrals, but all over the place. You have to be making time for those types of conversations because they're what we call income producing conversations. And if you're not having those in your business isn't growing.
I mean, just to give you an idea, today I had a discovery call at 10:30, 12:30. I did a pod swap at 2. I
Mm-hmm.
had a discovery call that led to a pod swap at 3:30. We're doing our pod swap now, and I have another discovery call at 7 o'clock tonight. And then tomorrow I just have a couple calls, but then, I have Wednesday, pod swap, discovery call, discovery call, discovery call,
Mm-hmm.
keynote downtown, discovery call. Like that's how you network. People don't understand entrepreneurship is what you make of it. It is one of the most fruitful things that you can step into. It could also be one of the most frustrating things that you step into because people truly don't understand how hard you need to work when you're building your own business and your own brand because it's yours. But that's the exciting thing. Whatever you want your business to become, whatever income you choose to want to make, it's up to you. And Gary Vaynerchuk says your net worth is in direct correlation to your network. So if your net worth is small, there's a good chance you have a very small network. So if you start growing your network, you will automatically grow your net worth if you are willing to network the right way and form those connections and relationships the way that human beings should.
That is fantastic. So the takeaway, you guys, today has been, what if you replace prospecting with connecting? Would that make it easier for you to get out there and do it? Because I know you all avoid this. Like you avoid it like I can't even.
Like it's a
I
plague.
Yeah, it is. It's a plague. I have some of you tell me you have the cleanest houses on the planet because you work from home and you will do anything to avoid prospecting. You'll even clean the house. So, Scott, anything? Do you have something you'd like to give away, or how can people get a hold of you if they want to know more?
I appreciate that. Thank you. So I have a free download on my website. So if anyone goes to scottaaron.net, a ton of free resources. My podcast is there. Access of where you can get my best-selling book is on there. A free 15-minute discovery call and a free download. And I'm on all social media. On Instagram, it's at Scott Aaron LinkedIn. I do have a YouTube channel, Scott Aaron, and also Facebook and LinkedIn is also Scott Aaron.
Very good. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you, Juliet. Appreciate the opportunity and you.